A good Friday, everybody. I'm meteorologist Ben Dery. Thanks for checking us out on KARE 11 Plus. Well, the snowfall potential for Saturday has increased as forecast models have taken this swath of snow originally forecast for southern Minnesota, and then they've lifted it quite a bit further north. That means the Twin Cities metro has a good chance at seeing accumulating snow. So let's talk details about our next weather impact alert. Snow looking likely for Saturday, primarily during the first half of the day, thinking between 6 a.m. and noon is the best chance of seeing the accumulating stuff, with lingering snow showers as we head into Saturday afternoon. For the Twin Cities, this looks like a shovelable snowfall event where a couple of inches are possible, but within this main swath, we're going to have to watch out for something called banding. It's where we see locally heavier amounts of snowfall, and potentially within this swath, we could see snowfall rates for a time up to an inch per hour, and that could really add up. This will be a very light and fluffy snowfall event, so the consistency of the snow, it's not going to be able to compact very well, so it's lighter, it's fluffier, it's more efficient, and that could also lead to some inflated snowfall totals as well. The National Weather Service has issued a winter weather advisory for the areas highlighted in purple from tomorrow morning through 6 p.m. on Saturday. It actually starts a little earlier for parts of west central Minnesota, and it's within this main swath. 2 to 4 inches of snowfall is expected, but we could see some locally higher amounts within this main band. And you can see this does include parts of the Twin Cities metro, Carver County, Scott County, Dakota County, and points southward. So we still are seeing the emphasis of the heaviest snow drifting across the southern third of the state. However, that can still change. There still is some uncertainty with exactly where the heaviest snow is going to line up, and we might not know that until the actual band develops late tonight into early tomorrow morning. Let's take a look at what the latest forecast models are showing us. This is starting this evening. We'll stay clear despite a strong cold frontal boundary that's moving through the area this afternoon. Let's head into tomorrow morning. This is 6 o'clock, and here it is. Snow knocking on our doorstep here in the cities. Rochester, the Albert Lee area, Mankato, Wilmer, kind of that main axis of heaviest snowfall, and it's a fairly wide swath that's forecast to move through the area, but the general trend is the further north you live, especially if you're north of the I-94 corridor, you have a lesser chance of seeing that accumulating snow. Let's head deeper into the morning hours, and we're going to pause this at noontime. The snow just beginning to break apart on the back edge of the snow, but still snow falling across south central and southeastern Minnesota. Snow gradually tapers from west to east as we head into Saturday afternoon, and our weather impact alert expires by 6 p.m. on Saturday. Here's the latest snowfall forecast run, and you can see that deeper blue shaded area, 2 to 4 inches, but we're adding the plus symbol here as well, just because we could see some very localized areas of potential snowfall. 5-6 inches, kind of on that range. I don't think that's going to be the norm. I think that's going to be the exception. Still, that darker blue shaded area, 2 to 4 inches of snowfall. And here in the Twin Cities, we're on that transition line where any shift northward can lead to higher snowfall totals. But this is what we're looking at least looking this far out. The other thing we're watching today is the gusty wind that's starting to ramp up from the north and west. These are sustained wind speeds, so the average over 2 minutes. Look at this. Bemidji's got a 37 mile per hour sustained wind. Anything over 20 is pretty gusty. When you see 30, even upper 30s, that's some pretty strong wind. Parts of northern Minnesota under wind advisories until later today as that colder air begins to move into the region. These are forecast wind gusts, and we'll take you through this afternoon when the winds are forecast to peak. This is 4:30. Here around the Twin Cities, we're looking at winds probably on the range of 25 to 30 mile per hour wind gusts. But again, areas in northern Minnesota, that purple shaded territory, could see wind gusts easily over 40 miles per hour. Once we head into tonight, the wind is forecast to gradually relax, and wind is forecast to be less of an issue as we head into Saturday. One thing to note too, with a north wind as we head into Saturday morning, that's pulling in drier conditions from the north. I do expect there to be a very sharp cutoff line between who sees accumulating snow and who sees little to nothing. That's that drier air running into where we have that snow. So that's something that's also going to complicate our forecast as well. So kind of a challenging forecast that has changed pretty rapidly over the last 12 hours. Here's your weekend forecast. The main highlight here is look at the difference in temperature. Upper 40s to lower 50s to teens and single digits on Saturday. So it's a pretty strong cold front moving through today with, again, snowier conditions expected across the southern third of the state. Also wanted to talk about this as well. The National Weather Service recently gave an update to their spring flood outlook, and their update is spring flood threat is below normal. So we have a lack of significant snowfall and drier soil before we froze up earlier this winter. That's minimizing our threat for now. The primary driver of any flooding this spring would be dependent on future rainfall events. So if we do see some heavy rains once we get into late March or early April, that's when we would see our flood threat. But right now it's all conditional. So for today, knocking on the door of 50 degrees, very warm, but the early afternoon part of the day is probably as warm as it's going to get. We've got that much colder air moving in from the north and west, already in parts of western Minnesota, and temperatures should continue to fall as we head into the afternoon. Low 20s for forecast highs Saturday and Sunday, and there's our weather impact alert for Saturday. Just to reiterate, we're looking at a swath of snow moving through primarily during the morning hours of Saturday, with accumulating snow looking more likely. We dry out by Saturday evening, and look, we're back well above the freezing mark for much of next week, with a string of 40s in the forecast that should take us from Tuesday all the way through next Thursday.